Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com.
The Alien Cosmic Expo will be held in Brantford, Ontario, June 26, 27, 28, and will feature 24 internationally acclaimed experts and researchers of UFOs, crop circles, alien abductions, and much more in this 3-day 2015 summer Canadian event. Experts in the field of extraterrestrials and alien encounters, out-of-body experiences, past life regression, soul reading, psychic, and mediumship will all be presented with professionalism, integrity, and credibility, making the Alien Cosmic Expo the largest event of its kind in Canada for 2015. The exhibitor hall will feature a spectacular lineup of gifted mediums, psychics, astrologers, channelers, aura photography, healers, as well as books, DVDs, alternative health products, crystals, jewelry, and much more, completing the venue with something for everyone. For all information and to purchase your tickets for the Alien Cosmic Expo, go to www.aliencosmicexpo.com. That's www.aliencosmicexpo.com. This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
It is Monday, June the 15th in the year 2015. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. Welcome to hour number 2 of the X-Zone Radio Show, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and heard all around the world on the Starcom Radio Network. www.xzoneradiotv.com is our website where you can listen to the X-Zone, 724-365. If you'd like to send me an email, X-Zone at xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And if you'd like to reach us by telephone, you know, those things that you kind of pick up and you put a quarter in the payphone booths, or what are they up to now, Craig? Still a quarter? You can listen to us anywhere in case you can't get, Wi-Fi anywhere at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. Exonation, there's a new guide to the afterlife out. It's called Afterlife Healing Circle. And we're going to be talking to one of the authors tonight. Her name is CANDACE TALMADGE. We've had the pleasure of having Candace on the show before. And it's about time that a book like this came out. Here's just a little bit about the book. A seance may be the most misunderstood and abused of all spiritual practices, and it can actually be dangerous. At last, now, those of us who hope to contact with our deceased loved ones can avoid the pitfalls and comfortingly communicate with the other side. The name of the book is The Afterlife Healing Circle, How Anyone Can Contact the Other Side. Candace Talmadge and co-author Janice Simons share unique experiences for conducting a healing circle that is safe and is proven to result in uniting with those who have gone on ahead. Joining me now is Candace Talmadge. And Candace, welcome back to the X-Zone. Great having you with us.
Good evening, Rob. It is so great to be back. Thank you for inviting me on to be a guest again.
Hey, congratulations on your new book. And like I said, it's about time somebody came up with this.
Well, there is such an overwhelming need for people to connect with the other side. And that's not just after a loved one dies. It can happen before a child is born, all right? Mm-hmm. Because the soul is a continuum. It exists before the physical body comes into being, right, and it exists after the physical body dies. So what we teach are the skills that anyone can use, and it doesn't really matter at what stage of being instead of life. I mean, we have such a limited definition of life anyway. It doesn't really matter at what stage of being a soul is in. You can always connect soul to soul.
Do you consider the stories and communication method in the After Healing Circle as evidence of an afterlife?
I don't consider, well, it might possibly be evidence, but I would never, ever attempt to say this is proof of an afterlife. all right? There's no way. I mean, there are rigorously conducted scientific experiments that are being conducted right now at the University of Arizona and in several other places where mediums get information that nobody can explain except that they're getting it from someone who is deceased, all right? And it certainly convinced the author of the Afterlife Experiments, Gary Schwartz, who's a professor of just about every medical discipline there is. But again, people have free will, and we can believe what we want to believe, what we're predispositioned to believe. So I offer this as an experience to help people decide for themselves. Does this make sense to me, or is it just something that just doesn't infect me and I don't believe it anyway? And that's okay for me. I'm fine with it. You know, I'm not trying to rope anybody into believing anything because I don't think you can do that. All right? I think you just have to allow people to experience for themselves or not experience for themselves and make up their own minds.
Tell me, Candace, how did you become interested in contacting the dead?
Well, I wasn't really so interested in contacting the dead. I always figured that whatever the conventional wisdom was, it was wrong. Okay, so I suspected that something survived the physical body, but again, I didn't have any experience to back it up. But then I met Jana, and I went through some rather interesting therapy to help me with emotional and spiritual issues.
Right.
And the upshot was that I was communicating with people, quote-unquote, who were dead during that therapy. And then Jana helped clients and family of clients, sit in this circle and communicate with people and souls they needed to communicate with. So I was like, oh, this stuff really works, and it really is helpful. So that's how I just decided that, yes, this was something I wanted to pursue.
Maybe you can help us understand or get a better idea of what the other side is and what is it like?
Well, boy, that's sort of like asking, what's life like on Earth? Except put that on steroids, because there are fewer limitations on the other side. I mean, I define the other side as any dimension or state of existence that doesn't involve a body that we perceive with our physical senses as physical. Consciousness exists whether a physical body exists. So wherever consciousness can exist, that's, quote-unquote, the other side. As to what it might be like, well, I think that just as our beliefs and our feelings and our issues and our lessons greatly affect what life is like on planet Earth, so too they affect what we experience when we are on the other side. So it could be blissful, it could be torment, all right, or something in between. So, because again, Rob, there's this pervasive belief what I call a misunderstanding, that once you cross over, you become all-knowing, all-wise, all this, all that.
Yeah.
The reality is the only thing you lose is your physical body, and who you were in that physical body, you still are, even without that physical body. So all your wisdom and all your limitations, that's what you take with you. You can't take money or your toys with you, but that's what you take.
So let me ask you this question then, Candace. Why isn't it explained that way in books of various religious philosophies? For example, in the Bible, that's not how they describe what happens after you die.
Well, the Bible is comprised of books written by many different authors with many different levels of understanding. And I really don't worry too much about what's in the Bible. I think it's a great work of literature, but I also think that it's information that was received by flawed human beings with a flawed perception, just as I am flawed, and we all have our limitations. So all great works of religion, the Quran, the Bible, whatever, very human people, men, wrote those to the best of their understanding, but it's not perfect and it's not complete.
You know,
go ahead.
I was just going to tell you, I love that answer.
Well, it's the only way you can. It's the only way you can really accept these books.
Exactly.
Well, and without, throwing them against the wall, because some of the stuff they say, we just look at it with our modern sensibility and going, what were you thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I love you, Candace, because you say it as it is. You're a square shooter. I love that.
Well, I don't know any other way to be, because it's too complicated and energy consuming to try to be someone I'm not. Okay.
Love it. Tell me, why is it important for people to experience contacting the other side for themselves?
It's important for a number of reasons. First, the whole field of psychology is beginning to recognize that traditional approaches to grief just don't cut the mustard. All right?
That's right.
The therapy, the drugs, the self-help groups, people just in this endless loop of grief. Mm-hmm. All right? So now they're saying, well, what can we do? And there's something called induced after-death communication that I've read a little bit about. And they recognize that when someone goes to a medium and gets a reading, it seems to help tremendously, because as you can read in the book, what people really want to know is my loved one okay? Can they still feel my love? Where are they now? What's going on? And I need to say goodbye, and maybe something else that I didn't get to say. So there could be unresolved stuff, just like saying goodbye. There could be things that you just want to know that they're okay. And that's what the Healing Circle experience provides, is that sort of experience that you can then judge for yourself. Well, this was real, this was not real, it helped me, it didn't. Mm-hmm. But you have the right to the experience and to decide for yourself.
I heard a phrase the other day, and I was wondering if you could try and help me understand it. What is grassroots spirituality?
Well, I define grassroots spirituality as spiritual beliefs and practices from the ground up, as opposed to a top-down hierarchy. All right. Mm-hmm. These are practices that people employ for themselves, with their friends, family, groups of people who come together because they have a sort of common interest in something, and they devise it. They do it for themselves. They define it. They say what goes, and they don't. A grassroots spirituality is really self-led. All right. There was an interesting phrase. I don't know if you remember the 2008 campaign when Obama was campaigning on hope and change.
Yes.
And at one point he said, "We are the ones we have been waiting for." And never was that phrase more true when it comes to belief in spirituality and religion. We have the right to define our own relationship with God or the Great Spirit or universal. I mean, pick your favorite label. I don't care. Okay? I like God because it's short and simple and to the point. But we have the right to define it, to feel it, to live it, to come to God ourselves and connect directly with God. And that, to me, is what grassroots spirituality is all about. Connecting directly with God in our own ways.
Cutting out the middleman. Cutting out the middleman, cutting out the church, cutting out the minister, cutting out the hymns, cutting out all the pomp and circumstance, and getting down to grassroots.
Yes.
Love it.
Hey, some of that stuff is quite beautiful. I mean, some of those hymns are great, and I love to sing them.
Yeah, I like the hers personally.
Well, it's just, if you want to sing, that's fine, but it's not something that is dictated on high by someone else.
You know what, we have people talk about giving control to the government, giving up our power to the government. Well, it seems that we've done the same thing to churches throughout the years as well. So it's time to take the power back from the government and take the power back from the church at the same time and get back down to basics and grassroots. I love it. Where can I join up? Where can I sign? Who's the leader of the band?
Well, actually, there's no leader, all right? It's what you do for yourself, or you bring people together. And in the book, I describe a Deb Christensen is a woman up in the Midwest where she has like 6 or 7 friends, and they got together and they started table tipping, and it led to other things. And it was something they did for themselves because they wanted to explore. And I was like, oh, way to go. This is so great, because they did it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And now they don't need it. They realize that they don't need the table. It's, kind of limiting. And that's my whole thing about Ouija boards or table tipping or everything. That stuff, they're kind of props, and we use them when we don't trust the information we're getting.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you practice and the more you kind of make a game of it, the way Deb and her friends did, which I thought was great, the more you do that, you finally get to the point where, hey, I can kick off the training wheels and just do it because I'm connected. I know I'm connected, and I trust this information that I'm getting intuitively. So, you got to start somewhere, and they did, and I think that's great.
So they
I was really happy to hear it.
So they graduated from table tipping to cow tipping now, right?
No, they graduated from table tipping to just getting together and in that group energy, getting the information that they need from souls on the other side.
What is a soul?
A soul, in my way of thinking, is energy. But it's a special kind of energy, all right? To me, soul and consciousness are pretty much interchangeable. But you have soul, consciousness, matter, and energy. And those are all manifestations of the same fundamental thing, which is, E equals MC squared. That's what Einstein was talking about. That's his equivalence equation. But you have to understand that the energy of the soul is not the kind of energy that science recognizes. The scientific definition of energy is the ability to do work. All right? Steam, you put a fire under water and the steam heats up and it drives a piston. That's doing work. All right? That's a material definition of energy. I have gotten from my own spiritual helpers and advisors a non-material definition of energy, and that is the ability to love. The greater the love, the greater the energy. The reduced ability to love, the less energy there is. And this is, in other words, the perfect expression of God or universal mind is the greatest possible energy at any given instant. That is God.
Exonation.
Consciousness.
Exonation. Candace Talmadge is my special guest this hour. We're talking to Candace about her new book entitled The Afterlife Healing Circle, How Anyone Can Contact the Other Side. It's co-authored by, let me see, what's Jana's last name again, Craig? Jana L. Simons, right. And if you'd like more information, the website is thehealingbookcircle.com. And you're listening to the X Zone live and around the world on the Starcom Radio Network. So when we pass, when we die, our soul lives on. Is there a difference between the soul and our spirit, or are they one and the same? Are they interchangeable?
First, I'd like to say that the website is thehealingcirclebook.com. Okay,
I screwed up.
Kind of got the words in. That's okay. It's thehealingcirclebook.com. To my way of thinking, I don't really try to get into precise definitions. To me, soul and spirit are interchangeable. All right. Other people think they're different, and that's fine. But to me, if you're talking about souls, you're talking about spirits, and that's fine.
So when a person says that they are communicating with spirit or that they feel the presence of spirit, they're soul searching. Is this all the same, except with different labels? I
think so. I think it's pretty much. There are so many labels to describe pretty much what the same thing is. When you're soul searching, when you're communicating with spirit, you are trying to use the gifts of your own soul, which some people call psychic abilities. I call them soul senses. You are trying to use the expanded perception of the soul that you are in order to reach out to other beings who are not in physical form.
Now, you were saying that we can contact people, or I call them people, okay?
They're people.
Before they are born.
Mm-hmm.
Why would we want to do that?
Well, just imagine you are pregnant for the first time. That might take some doing on your part.
I was just going to say this is my third. Okay, fine.
and you are in some sort of crisis, or you have, or you perhaps, like in the book, you are 40 years old, and that's kind of old for a first pregnancy. And you've got jitters, and you've got questions, and you're not sure. And the doctor can reassure you and say, yes, this is the modern age, we've got all this, and the physician assistant can you can get counseling, but you can't really feel it yet, all right? Plus, you're like, well, who is this kid? I'm going to be parenting a complete stranger. And you know what? The little bundles of joy come out of the womb, and they just don't have an instruction manual anywhere to be found, all right?
But if they're souls and they're on their way back, why wouldn't they have that information available to them?
Now, that is a very long story, but let's boil it down to the effects of self-judgment on consciousness. Our consciousness is shattered, and we can't recall easily because self-judgment has harmed consciousness. We aren't meant to be that way. We are meant to be able to recall everything, all of our lives, everything at once. But until we focus on self and do some healing, that information is very, very hard to grasp at the conscious level. So, you come back and you don't have this information, and usually souls come back to parents with whom they've had other lives, maybe not on Earth or maybe on Earth. It doesn't matter. But there are things, when you come back into a physical body, if you are smart and wise, and most souls do this, you choose a purpose,
right,
and you choose some lessons that you want to focus on. And parents are so busy saying, I want a kid who's healthy, they forget to say, I want a kid who can feel my love. Because you can say that too.
Yeah, but isn't that part of the learning process on why someone would want to come back to this plane, to this existence?
It can be part of the learning process, but it can be a very traumatic part. If you spend most of your life trying to recover from the fact that you could never feel that your parents loved you, all right? So what the Healing Circle is designed to do in this case, in the case of expectant parents, is to get the parent and the child, and we have a case of twins in one of the examples in the book, get the parents talking to the kids. They find out what the kids' life purpose is, the lessons the kids want to focus on, the name the kid wants to be called, all those things. And it's easy. You don't have to guess. You don't have to struggle with it. It just comes in that flow of energy and love.
But isn't that part of being a parent, that naming the child because of your great-grandfather? He wants Charles and she wants Agatha if it's a little girl. And the gathering up, the anticipation of the arrival of this new member of your family. Aren't we taking the Christmas spirit out of December the 25th by doing this?
Actually, we're adding to it.
How?
We're adding to it by making it, instead of the jitters and the uncertainty, making it joyful expectation.
But
I know what my child wants from this lifetime. I know more about how to be a good parent for this child, and information that is specific to this child, not a generic child-rearing manual.
But
all right?
Candace, if the child knows this, why do they need human parents? They can figure it out themselves. If they know what the name they want, if they know what purpose they want, if they know how they want... They
know at the soul level, but not in the conscious mind.
So how does...
Again.
Okay, but just answer me this. How is this information that the mother is getting, or the father is getting, how can we know it's real, that it's just not something that they want, the parents want, that they are feeding themselves? We've seen this many times in investigating the paranormal using scientific methods. So how do we know?
That's true.
But how do we know that the information that the child wants this name, the child wants that, the child wants the other thing, is from that child and not from the inner wants and desires of the parent?
Well, all I can say is that in the circles that have involved kids that I've been a part of, it was very clear, and this is not me as a parent wanting anything. This is just me as a receptor getting information. And I can tell you that the kids the twins, oh my goodness, they have grown up exactly, I mean exactly, the way they presented themselves as adults in that circle. I mean exactly. The personality is the same. And you can ask the kid, well, do you like your name or not? You know, because a lot of kids get names and they absolutely hate it. So there's a lot to be said. It's called being a more prepared parent, having the nerve factor lessen because you have some idea of who this little being is and what this being wants out of this physical lifetime so that you can be, oh, okay. And as Wandy, the mother, said, you know, we relaxed. Once we met our kids, we just relaxed about it. We kind of had an idea, and we just allowed them to be, as opposed to worrying about, am I doing the best job? Am I doing it right? Because we had a unique map to each of these kids' growth. You know, the kids are in their 20s now.
All right,
the kids
Candace,
are in their early 20s.
Candace, stand by. We have to take a commercial break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation, Candace Talmadge is our guest. She is the co-author of The Afterlife Healing Circle, How Anyone Can Contact the Other Side. The website is thehealingbookcircle.com. That's www.thehealingbookcircle.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue live and around the world from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Starcom Radio Network. Don't go away.
In the world today, most people want what is called the American dream. They want love, a family, a fancy car, and a nice home in a nice neighborhood. They also want a good job and money to travel to interesting places. Life is great because they have the American dream. But what happens to this dream if they hear they have a devastating illness like lung cancer? The doctor may tell them they need treatment immediately or they will be dead in 6 months. He tells them you need surgery and then you need chemotherapy to get better. When they get home, they think of many unanswered questions. They ask themselves, will I survive when so many of my friends with cancer have died? How will I deal with the pain, hair loss, nausea and vomiting, sore mouth and other side effects of chemotherapy and pain of surgery? Will I be able to keep on working? What will happen to my family? Then they look at the internet and wonder, is there a better way to deal with lung cancer and return to my American dream? Carl Helvey can tell you yes, there is a better way. Carl Helvey is a registered nurse with a doctorate in public health and a 38-year lung cancer survivor. Carl was given 6 months to live when diagnosed, and he refused chemotherapy and surgery. Carl used alternative interventions. Those not only helped him overcome lung cancer, but also to remain cancer-free and healthy for over the past 36 years since recovery. In his book, You Can Beat Cancer Using Alternative Integrative Interventions, Dr. Helvey will tell you his story of using all-natural treatments for lung cancer and continuing to work during his treatment. Free of pain and discomfort, Carl will also share how he remained cancer and disease-free since then without chronic illnesses or prescribed medications. His story is supplemented with chapters by Dr. Bernie Siegel, Dr. Francesco Contreras, and Dr. James Forsyth, alternative integrative physicians, and Dr. Kim Dalzell and Tanya Harder-Pierce, health professionals. All have successfully helped others overcome cancer. Research presented by the alternative physicians on their treatments for lung cancer demonstrate a significantly higher long-term survival rate for lung cancer clients than those obtained by conventional doctors. In addition, their clients were free of or had reduced side effects. You Can Beat Lung Cancer Using Alternative Integrative Interventions by Dr. Carl Helvey is now available at all. Manifestation is driven by imagination, intent, and passion. In our culture, all three have been distorted and disabled by modern media and exploitation. Re-engage your imagination and your passion by entering into the world of paranormal romance. Kahir O'Donnell takes her readers on an exciting journey into the endless possibilities of loving, passionate, and mutually respectful male-female relationship. Her latest book, The Long Dark Night, features special ops adventure, a daring rescue, a psychic woman from the stars, and a special agent that will die to protect her. The Long Dark Night by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at kahiraodonnell.com or amazon.com. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598.
Have you exhausted all traditional means of healing without success? Are you experiencing communications through ghosts, angels, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services to humanity at this time through consultations. These consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you desire clarity of what may appear to be unexplainable phenomenon, then contact me through my website at aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
This is a multiple choice answering machine message. No one can take your call at the moment because we are A, on another line, B, taking a meeting, C, doing lunch, D, being abducted by aliens, or E, all of the above. If you chose either D or E, maybe it's time to lay off the supermarket tabloids. Here comes the tone.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Rob McConnell, on the X-Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X-Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is The X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in beautiful Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, which is about 20 minutes east of the great event coming up June 26, 27, 28 in Brantford, Ontario. And I'm talking about the Alien Cosmic Expo. That's going to be held in Brantford at the Best Western, just off of the highway. We were there last week. We met with Joanne Eady and Heather Masters and some other great people. All I can tell you, this event is going to be truly out of this world. Now, if you're listening to me in the United Kingdom, Scotland, or any other place that this show goes around the world, and you say, darn it, I can't partake because I want to hear Stanton Friedman's speech. I want to hear Paul Hellyer talk about the money mafia. I want to hear Grant Cameron. I want to hear Stu Bundy. I want to hear Len Kasten talk about Planet Serpo. But I can't get there. Boy, do I have news for you, X-Zone Nation. The Alien Cosmic Expo is going to be and has now a pay-per-view system that you can partake in the 3 days event from the Grand Ballroom where they have all their keynote speakers. For more information on how you can register, what the broadcast schedule is, who the speakers are, and so on, go to www.digitalbroadcastnetwork.ca. That's www.digitalbroadcastnetwork.ca. And don't forget, the main website for the Alien Cosmic Expo 2015 is www.aliencosmicexpo.com. You know, it's so nice to have people on the show that you can trust. You listen to, you can hear the authority in their voice. You hear the honesty, the sincerity, and the caring in their voice. And this is what I get from my guest this hour, Candace Talmadge. She is the co-author with Janice Simons of a book entitled The Afterlife Healing Circle, How Anyone Can Contact the Other Side. Their website is www.thehealingbookcircle.com. Candace, thanks very much for being with us tonight. I sincerely appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be with us and to talk about this very important subject. Now, let me ask you this, Candace. How does the Afterlife Healing Circle work?
Well, it's very simple. You need a group of people, somewhere between 4 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
And one person is the conductor, sort of just arranging things and starting the flow and just sort of helping the thing move along. Then you have one or more, maybe you have a couple of people who are what we call the inquirers, and those are the people who want to contact the soul, all right, either after death or before birth. And then you have a group of, 2 to 3 to 4 other people who sit in, and their job is to send love. Really, the only requirement you need to do this is the ability to send love. And if you can send love, you can probably do this, all right? Now, that's not a guarantee, and we've certainly had circles that were not successful. But by and large, if you have this group of people, and they are simply open-minded, they don't have to believe, but if they're open-minded and willing to, just say, okay, I will be here and I'll be present and I will do what I am asked to do and see what comes up, all right? And that's all that you need, really. So you get the people together and we go through a sequence of steps that's outlined in great detail in the book. And people have to, the biggest issue, Rob, is always trust. Do I trust my intuition? Because that's the same thing as saying your soul senses or your psychic senses or whatever. We are conditioned and programmed not to trust it. It's flaky. It doesn't work the same as the left brain, and it's not supposed to work the same as the left brain, all right? We've got the logical, rational part of our mind and the mental way of learning, go to books, listen to lectures, do all that kind of stuff. Then you have the right brain, creative, spiritual way of receiving information, and that's to relax and allow. All right? That's your receiving side of your brain. Your brain is a sender, your brain is a receiver. All right? And what you're doing in the Afterlife Healing Circle is you are turning into receptive mode. And the people bring forth, basically the circle is that you start out and there's a process and there's a, you need to always call on protection, and we explain how to do that. That's the only, in fact, the only step that you have to remember is the one to call on protection, all right? The rest of what we say, you can kind of throw it out and do whatever you want, but as long as you do that, you'll be fine, all right? But we've developed this procedure, and our guides have kind of worked with us on this, and if you follow these steps, it actually works, all right? Now, you can sit there and say, I don't believe it, I don't like it, and that's your right. But, you've got the steps, and the people come together, they start the circle flowing, and then the soul comes in, or souls come in, and they seem to recognize that they're going to have to send what we call evidential material in order to convince that left brain that, yes, this is the soul in question, the soul that the inquirers want to contact. And then once the inquirer says, yes, I'm convinced this is my mother, or these are my kids, or whoever, all right, it doesn't matter. Then everybody steps back and allows and just sends love and helps bring forth whatever it is the two souls want to say to each other. And it helps a lot. The presence of more than one person sending love really magnifies this intuitive energy. You'd be amazed. It's so much easier. I mean, that's what Jesus was talking about when he said, whenever two or more of you are gathered in my name. He was talking about the effect of group energy.
It's funny, as you were discussing the energy and the love, that is the phrase that came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. And that is absolutely essential. That it's the love connection. Mm-hmm. And again, we respectfully explain to people that unless you are Diana's relative or good friend, if Princess Di, you're not going to get Princess Di. Okay? You can't. All right? And it's the same thing with Elvis, and it's the same thing with Michael Jackson. You have to have an emotional connection to that soul. Because if you think about it, if there were a group of people that you were passing by and you didn't know any of them and they were, oh, come over here, would you do it? Not likely.
I would.
So if, well, you like living dangerously, I guess.
I do this show. That goes to show you how dangerous I love life.
Well, the whole point is that most souls and people would kind of say, well, I don't know anybody in that group, so I think I'll just keep on. Yeah. And that's the issue here. That's why you don't do, I want to contact Princess Di. Well, if she had a relationship with you, go for it. But you have, the contact is between souls that have had a relationship or souls that are going to have a relationship in the parent-child relationship. And there is an emotional connection. And that's what draws people. And that's what draws souls.
So is that how the communication is made on the other side? When because it's always boggled my mind if you have all these souls out there, how does that one soul somewhere in the great cosmos know that someone is trying to connect with them?
Well, let me use a very earthly example.
Okay.
And one of the reasons we know that the afterlife healing circle will be appropriate. Mm-hmm. Is that someone will come to us and say, this person has been on my mind a lot. She'll be thinking about something entirely different, and this person will pop in. Well, guess what? That's the soul thinking about them. All right. And if we didn't have so much mental chatter and conditioning and programming, we would pay attention to it, because it's happened. Like I said, the brain is a sender and a receiver.
Right.
And when you think of someone, when you feel love for a person, you are broadcasting that in that energy that is not measurable by any particular known means right now. It's emotional energy. You're sending that out. And everybody picks it up. They may not know it consciously, but they pick it up. So that's how you connect. And souls on that side, it's a little bit easier for them to recognize it. And it's, again, that emotional, oh yeah, they're calling. Okay, I'll be there. And you can do that.
It's like they have a little beeper on the side of them that says, beep, beep, beep. Oh, I'm wanted somewhere. Let me find out where I'm wanted.
In a sense, that's exactly what it's like. It's like, hello, Avon calling,
If we could get back if we could just get back to the pre-birth for a moment.
Okay.
The information that the unborn child has and wants to transmit to the mother or the father, because there is that emotional tie that we talked about. Mm-hmm. Where does the child get this information from?
The child, again, you have to understand that kids come in physical bodies and they do not have developed mental bodies, and they're very immature and all that kind of, they can't talk yet, Mm-hmm. But they are souls who are the same age as you or me, all right?
Oh, okay.
The spiritual body is intact. It's just animating and supporting and dwelling, focusing on this little infant body, all right? So the soul will make decisions, will choose parents. We choose our parents. I hate to tell everybody this because people love to blame their parents for all the problems. Well, you chose them, folks, all right? We choose our parents. We choose our purpose. We choose our lessons. And the interesting thing is that we really never go far astray. We may not consciously recognize it, but we are always serving our purpose, and we are always learning our lessons. And the whole point about knowing the lesson is to help make it easier instead of the hard way, all right?
How long does it take us to learn all these lessons so we don't have to come back and keep on going through 80, 90 years of trials and tribulations before we get it right?
Well, the thing is that we never really have to come back.
Oh, we don't?
So, no, we're not required to come back. Oh. Souls want to come back to avail themselves of 5 more physical senses. All right? We have the 5 physical senses. Yeah. We have at least 4 soul senses. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain amount of intensity in the physical dimension that the realms that don't vibrate at this particular frequency, mm-hmm. they don't have and this is my guides explaining all this stuff to me, because I have all these questions too, and they talk to me a lot, and they just say it's a very comfortable. Earth is a very great schoolhouse, comfortable, and it can be a fun place to be. It can be a terrible place mm-hmm. to be. All right, but the soul, the abiding, other than being everlasting, because energy cannot be destroyed. The other hallmark of a soul is curiosity. We want to, inquiring souls want to know, all right?
Yeah.
We do. We just can't stand it. And the only way that you really walk a mile in someone else's moccasins is to have an emotional experience. That's what makes it real to you. That's why the Afterlife Healing Circle is so real, because it is an emotional experience. It's not just, I'm sitting here getting information from a medium, or I'm reading a book about afterlife experiments. Heck, I'm getting information. I'm feeling the soul's love. I'm getting to say goodbye or hello or whatever it is. I've gone through this, and that's when it begins to resonate.
Is there ever the possibility that a negative soul may try to come through?
Absolutely. That's why we ask for protection. As Jan and I explain in this book, mm-hmm. if you don't ask for protection, or you do this circle with anything other than the intent to heal and help people come to resolution, you are opening yourself up for all sorts of disincarnate game players, head games, and even worse, what I call them denial spirits. All right, they're not loving. They have malicious intent, and they're real. Okay? People say, oh, no, this is not real. They are real. But you don't have to get tangled up with them. Everybody has the right to be safe. Everybody has the right to be secure. And it's very, very simple, because protection is all around us. All we have to do, but we do have to ask, You can't just assume you'll be protected. You must, every time, you must ask.
So basically, the pure intent and the strength of the love of the people within the circle are your protection.
And the specific request.
Right.
Everybody asks, I wish to be protected mm-hmm. while we are doing this circle. And that's all there is. That's it. And then your spirit guides or guardian angels, whatever label you want to call them, they will stand watch. They will keep every soul except the one or ones you want to speak with. They'll keep them out. And they'll be glad to do it.
As always when you're with me, time goes by so fast. I've got about 5 or 6 minutes left before I have to say so long for another little while, Candace. Is there a story or two that you can share with us from your book about what happened that just rings so true at one of your healing circles?
Oh, wow. There's just so many of those stories in the book. But I think the story of the parents, the wife was 40 years old.
Yeah.
And the husband, that was his second wife. His first wife died of the complications of childbirth.
Oh, heavens.
Yes. Yeah, it was they were just in such a state. I mean, they were delighted that they were going to have some kids.
Yeah.
But they were terrified, all right? Especially the husband, poor old Mark, because it had a lot of emotional ramifications for him. So Jen and I and Mark and Rondi, mm-hmm. this was back in 1993. We got together and we did the Afterlife Healing Circle, and the twins came forth, And the little girl came in first, and she's just like she is, and she showed herself watering love and seeds and told us what she wanted to do with her life and what she wanted her name to be. And the little boy was a bit shyer and more reserved, but then his soul came in. Oh, it was just wonderful because both of them afterwards were so relaxed, so, okay, now I get it. Everything is going to be okay. And they had specific requests. Rondi tended to want to be a vegetarian, but they told her, right now you need to eat some meat, okay? Because this will help your body with the pregnancy. So it was a beautiful session. We actually have a recording of it. I cried again every time when I listened to it again to write the book because it was just such a wonderful experience. And the twins are now in their early 20s. They're wonderful kids. They're now young adults. They're exactly like they showed themselves. And, you know, Mark and Rondi said, hey, we tell everybody about this. They really need to do this. It helped us so much be relaxed parents, gave us confidence. And you know, there's this whole movement to be conscious parent, you know, conscious parenting. Well, this adds another dimension to that, to be really a wiser, more informed steward of a soul's childhood is what you're really trying to do.
And these days, people need all the help they can get.
They need all the help, and this is help that's very specific to your child. It's not like just some... And there are a lot of great child-rearing manuals, but they don't mention your kid.
That's right.
Okay? You know, because this is information that comes from the soul of the child who will be born, and it's specific to that child or children.
You know, congratulations on a great book. I love what it's doing. I love your honesty and integrity. Where can people get copies of your book?
Well, it's available in bookstores. It should be available now. It's available, you know, online through Amazon. I believe a week from today they'll finally have Kindle and Nook editions of it. Right now it's available in paperback. And the website is thehealingcirclebook.com. Somehow you've got it all mixed, but that's okay. It's thehealingcirclebook.com. And if people sign up, they become eligible to, and I'm going to give away a few Meet Your Guides meditations to mark the launch of the book. So just by signing up for the newsletter, you'll be eligible. I'll put your name in a pot and draw it out 2 or 3 times as we go forward. And I promise not to pester you a lot. I send an occasional email. But that's, you know, it's an amazing practice. It's from the ground up. And it's spirituality as you define it and as you need it to work for you.
All right, let me see if I've got the website right. TheHealingBookCircle.com, right?
No, TheHealingCircleBook.com.
Oh, I see what they did. They reversed it.
TheHealingCircleBook.com.
Craig, I'm going to see you after the show, my friend.
That's okay. That's okay. You can re-reverse it. It'll be fine.
All right. So thehealingcirclebook.com. Listen, thanks very much for joining us, Candace. Always great pleasure. To you and yours, the very best. And I look forward to the next time you and I meet here in the X Zone. Until then, so long, good friend.
Thank you. Good evening, Rob.
Bye-bye now, Candace. X Zone Nation, my guest this hour has been Candace Talmadge. And the website is www.thehealingcirclebook.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario. A little hot there, Craig. Poor Craig's all frizzled because he gave me the wrong website. It's okay. This just goes to show, my friend, that you and I are human. Well, I know I'm human. I'm still not sure what you are. You look like a cross between ZZ Top and Kermit the Frog. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Heard around the world on the Starcom Radio Network. Don't go away.